Hi there, folks. My name's NoWing24, and we are here, as you can see, on a very special edition of the Three Grumpy Simmers. We actually got to the same place. So I enjoyed. I can't even point at the screen anymore. Like I'm used to pointing at
yeah. So where's BelGeode?
It's like where's? Oh wait, you're right here. So of course we're joined by Sergio from Helisimmer.com.
Hey everybody.
See, you don't even have the. Where's the helipads?
No, but I have.
But you have the official logo. Yeah. Okay.
For
Fair
a good
enough.
reason.
Fair enough. Yes, it is a very good reason, which you probably have already deduced from the title of this video. But moving on, and of course we are joined by a very famous. And very famous, actually.
Yes,
he is very famous. Purple hat wearing, still doesn't own his own Tomcat, though he is working on it. He may go overseas to pick one up. You never know. Apparently there are some still kicking around in service with a certain country. But anyway.
But I can neither confirm nor deny those allegations. And I still got my Sierra Nevada.
It's the same. It's the exact same. Just added water and
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, welcome, folks, to our first, and we, by the way, we're recording this. We have no idea the quality of how well this is going to turn out, by the way. So, we're really hoping that you actually see this.
We're sorry. We're very sorry that you actually have to watch this.
We're going to post this. So, we are all here now.
Where is here?
Where is here? That's a really good question. It's a shame we don't have the backdrop of.
We can add some B-roll.
Yeah, okay, we'll have some B-roll. So we are here in the beautiful American West Coast city of Seattle.
I'm sorry, where?
We are in Seattle. Now, what is this Seattle the home of?
The Beatles?
The Beatles? I'm going to hurt you for that. How dare you?
The Seahawks.
Yes, exactly. The Seahawks. Also, that there's a company that makes a whole heap of tube liners that people obsess over. It's in the top of the album.
I know. Is it Steady Level?
I don't know. Is it the real one, or is it Zero, or is it another company that starts with another letter that we don't talk about? No, I don't know. Yeah, okay. It doesn't start with A, but no, it's the home of Boeing, of course. Mm-hmm. But it's also a home to a quaint little software company. And what software company would that be?
There's really only one that fits the description. Microsoft.
Exactly, Microsoft. It is indeed. Now, why would Three Grumpy Simmers be the home city of Microsoft?
And why would you just now be finding out about it?
Yes, exactly. At this particular moment. So, we have been invited along to see firsthand the upcoming Microsoft Flight Simulator reboot. Now, we're going to start this episode by prefacing this by saying that this is actually, when this is being recorded, as obviously because, we don't get together very often, this was, we couldn't talk about it beforehand, but this is being recorded mid-September, and it'll be going live at the end of the month, and of course with some agreements we have with Microsoft. Now, we have been invited along with quite a few other
big names
of the community, and quite frankly, I feel like I seriously feel like I didn't belong. Like seriously, like.
Well,
okay, no. Seriously, for a minute on this one, folks. Like when we're talking about people, okay. So I'm not. Yeah, I do this for me and for you guys, and we have fun with it. Mm-hmm. This guy, the developers all knew who he was. So something branding. So and they knew who Sergio was because of course because he had just kept asking.
Let's be honest.
They knew who he was.
Yes,
they knew.
They did. They knew us.
They actually watch this show. They watch these episodes. So
shout out to Microsoft. Huge thanks again.
Guys, thank you guys for watching. Thank you.
Thank you to every other viewer because it's viewers like the rest of you that actually made Microsoft want to watch it. Actually. Right. So thank you all of you.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. So they knew us. It's not a matter of knowing him or me. They knew us as Three Grumpy Simmers. Actually, they know us as Three Grumpy Simmers more than they know
They know our
Helisimmer.
individuals. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's although when I started talking, when Drew started talking to them, they immediately clicked. Okay, so this is the same guy, which is kind of weird, not realizing the hat is the same, but okay. And when they started talking to me, some of them, not all of them, but some of them realized, okay, this is the helicopter guy, right? So, but there are some huge names.
They didn't know who the hell he was. There were more than one occasion in the past 24 hours that we've had to explain that Tristan was the third person. They didn't quite put the connection together that it's his channel, his show, that we're all a part of.
So we're doing this with this guy that invited
this random guy. I don't know who he is.
He invited us to be part of his show on his YouTube channel, and people go.
I still blame the pair of you for this show. But anyway, so now that we've got all that nonsense out of the way, so we've been here in Seattle. It's been quite a journey. As I said, as you can imagine, we've come a long way. You know, we've just come a couple of
I
miles.
just came across the country. We do this in our sleep.
So, and it's been an. I don't know. You're putting an autopilot and letting.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, right, cool. So we've come out here to have the opportunity to be offered the opportunity to actually speak with the developers and the development team behind the upcoming Microsoft Flight Simulator to get ourselves hands-on with the current build,
Which we did,
which we got to do extensively, and we got to experience where they're at, and we got to see a glimpse of where they're going. But more importantly, we got to hear their story, where they come from.
And we got something else as well. We got some information, glimpse, some very pleasantly surprising view of where they came from.
Yeah.
We
honestly,
had a guy there.
All bullshit aside,
we had a guy there, and it was just an amazing experience. Talking. I'm not going to name it right now because we're going to talk about him briefly.
That's just the thing. None of us expected any of this. We came here with the full expectation that we were going to trash this sim.
And that's actually, and that's a quote from one of the other bigger names that's been here, is that all of us came here with very low expectations. Now, and part of that is fed by the fact that there was no information. Like there was no information, and what little is out there was so thin and so sort of out there that, and at the end of the day, and we've all talked about this before, is that the trailer is curated. You know, yes, it was in-game, real-time in-game footage, which I can definitely confirm. Yes, it absolutely is, and if anything, I'm pretty sure it's got better since that trailer was recorded. But yeah, it was curated footage, and to show off the best elements of it.
But that lack of information was.
But the lack of information was concerning, and then some of the mixed messages that we've been receiving from some of the releases of stuff, like especially with the whole with Microsoft clawing back from Dovetail, taking the franchise back. There was a lot of concern, and I think rightly so, and wild speculation theories. And as much as we all tried to stay clear of the speculation, even we succumbed to it.
Privately.
When the cameras stopped rolling, we all have our very strong opinions about what we think is going on. But that was kind of the whole point of this weekend, was to dispel a lot of that. And I think a lot of us are coming out of it with the answers that we were looking for, even if the answers were not quite the answers that we expected.
And I don't know if you guys had the chance to talk with the team about it, but they explained me why was it that there was so little information being sent out. They actually told me why, and they did it, and they had a problem here because this event was delayed about a month, right? So they did it because they wanted this event today to be the event where everything was going to be unfolded, And as the creators, the guys that were invited to come would get all this information personally from the guys that did it. So all this lack of information out there until the day that this video is probably going to be broadcasted. But the fact that there's no information besides a little bit here and there, and like we said on previous episodes, some screenshots and some videos and not much more than that. This was all done on purpose.
Yeah.
So that this kind of tells a bit of, how committed to the community it seems that they really are. They wanted this to be our day. As flight simmers, as people passionate about this hobby, about guys that are creating content for the flight simulation, and they want it to be special for us.
And it was. Let me put it to you this way. They paid for all of our way out here. This man from Australia, that man from Portugal, myself from the other side of the United States. They put us up in a pretty sweet hotel.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, we got the ghetto rooms, and they're still suites. They're hotel suites. There's another gentleman whom you all know who's got like a balcony set up on the 8th floor, and I might probably give away who this is. He was probably the most vocal against Flight Sim World, or Flight Sim, what's going on now. This iteration.
Yeah.
He ended up with a balcony suite.
But more, and it's the team definitely sort of got over here, and unfortunately that in a way, our initial impressions were we didn't. Again, it sort of fed into the idea that this isn't going to be great.
No,
this was going to be a bit of a dog and pony show.
It was going to be.
We were going to get canned answers, read off the script, pretty much.
Yeah.
I was expecting something very disappointing.
We were all expecting. We weren't expecting a lot. We were expecting a few things, basically a new press release, a couple of things, and that was it. What we got though was far different. What we got is that we actually got to speak with the development team. Yeah. Now this is something as well that a few people have been asking, and I myself was trying to chase down confirmation on this, and I couldn't get it. And we got it today, which was, yes, it is Azobo that is actually the development team behind this in partnership with Microsoft. So they're the actual guys on the coalface with the tools that are making it.
And you were here.
And they were here. They've come out from France for this event. The full a large portion of the development team was here, including all the lead developers of certain key areas of the sim. We're here and going through in detail what we're going to be getting, what we can look forward to, and also talking about some of the challenges that we've been having. And so the fact that, and they said that these are still alpha builds, that are actually sort of coming through. There are bugs, and to speak with them and actually talk with them and hear their stories. So we went through a variety of topics today. I should have my notes. I should get my notes and put that through.
We went through world and issues related to building the actual world, like the game world itself. We went through sky, which of course referenced a lot of the atmospheric technology that's being incorporated into this.
1 second. Oh. See, you can tell that we were prepared for this episode.
Yeah, right? Yeah. We went through the aerodynamics where they actually discussed a lot of the nuts and bolts, what they're doing to build this simulator that's going to, number one, set it apart from everything that's come before, meaning FSX, 2004, all of the predecessors and whatnot, and some of the, I guess, groundbreaking technology that they're actually bringing into this to progress the whole thing forward. And then the final thing that they discussed before we were let loose on the actual sim itself was the cockpits, and they were going through a lot of the integration with the cockpits, what exactly we can expect to see in this particular build, which, bear in mind, everything is subject to change. And what some of the plans are that they have in place for the future.
So we'll go through some of the key points that they talked to us about. And bear in mind that, as I said, this has all been recorded just after the event. As I said, we spent a very long day with the developers, with hands-on with the sim. Unfortunately, we couldn't take any of our own
images
in sim shots.
But you should be seeing footage.
But you'll be probably seeing somewhere, probably above here somewhere, of the stuff that we've been able to get. Now, so in terms of the world, there were some fascinating stats that come out of this one. But it is primarily derived from Bing aerial imagery, which is also what a lot of ortho imagery from XP is. So we know that it is fairly good quality stuff. They have, however, curated it, so it's not just a straight ortho for XP, but for Microsoft.
Yeah. Let me just say something. It's not a matter of only oral photos, of having satellite photos from satellites, obviously. Bing has a lot. Microsoft has covered, well, not Microsoft, but companies that work for Microsoft have covered the world with aerial photography.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't have just the photos taken with satellites. You have actually aircraft around the world taking pictures, and that can get you textures of down to 30 centimeters.
But that's the resolution. The resolution that they've quoted they can get down to within certain areas is 5 centimeters per pixel.
Right.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
That's phenomenal.
That's insane.
That's pretty
In
phenomenal.
a flight sim, and that included the prime area where. Now I'm gonna. Okay, so I'm sorry. I'm gonna go into the realm of speculation here, but I'm going to bet that the new home airport, default airport for this sim is going to be Renton.
Probably. Yes.
I am going to say that.
Yeah, I go out on a limb and say you're probably correct on that one.
So-
I know there are certain things they will need to correct about that area.
Yeah, well, absolutely, which we help point them out. So, so that's part of one of the things that we learnt about the world is that this project started. So this project's been going since 2016. So we talked about, and Sergio Hughes, a developer, had said that this is not an overnight thing.
Yeah.
So they've been working on this since 2016, but it started as a VR tech demo.
HoloLens tech demo is pretty much what they claim.
They created Seattle in virtual reality.
Right. Yeah. So it was basically a proof in concept.
Yeah, and they went, let's throw an aeroplane in here and see what happens.
On this new graphics engine.
On this, it's a new proprietary engine, by the way.
This is theirs. This is new. This is not FSX. This is not FSW. This is brand new graphics engine. I'm
going to put an asterisk next to that,
right?
Because we'll get to that in a second.
But
the graphics and the physics engine that we've seen in all the screenshots, that is brand new. That is a proprietary engine developed by Azobo themselves, and in partnership with Microsoft, and making use of this data. Now, one of the big questions that you as a community has been asking is things like, do I need to be online all the time? Because as soon as, even from the first trailer, it said this is derived from Azure and Bing data. So the assumption was you need to be online. So that was one of the first questions that, of course, we all asked. And the answer that we got is that yes and no was sort of the answer. The key takeaways were, though, that it essentially has 3 modes. So it has a live mode, which is full online.
You're online. Your bandwidth determines what you get when you get.
Exactly. So it will stream the data to you. Now, it won't stream the rendered image. So you're still being rendered locally on your machine. So everyone asking if your potato is going to be run at FS 2020, I'm going to suggest probably not. You're probably going to at least need a YAM. But again, the specs aren't finalized.
It'll look like mashed potatoes, probably.
But the data, the raw underlying data that it uses to generate the graphical image, that will be streamed to you live.
Right. Yeah. So that's just to clarify. When Microsoft talked about streaming, it's streaming data.
Yes.
Okay, guys, it's not
pre-rendered
images.
You're not going to get an ortho photo tile per minute,
yeah.
and they're going to fit it. No.
Can you imagine that coming down like Tetris blocks? Can you imagine that? Jesus, that would be terrible. Anyway,
that's a whole different game.
So that's the first mode. The second mode is a completely offline. So 100% offline.
Yeah.
So you pull the pin out of you pull your Ethernet cable out there, no internet, you can still fly the entire globe with procedurally generated information.
Right. So now we're talking about various terrain tiles and so on and so forth. They're still referencing the real world based on
it's the same
information.
It's the same as prepared and FSX and explain out of the box.
But N times better. That's the thing. It's so much better.
The textures, just the basic default textures. Yeah.
You know, during the presentation, they have shown the three ways of showing data. And the first one, I thought the first one was the best one.
But because
I
it's this whole streaming. That's
they've shown 3 images, and they've shown the first image, and they weren't telling which one it was until after a few seconds. And I thought the first one was the best one, and it was actually the worst one.
It was actually the offline. Yeah, it was the offline one. So the procedure generated, like the geotypical content that you'll get, is still amazing.
Right.
And then the third option is a hybrid solution, where and this is where it did get a little fuzzy in terms of how it's done. Is that it does allow you to cache content. So and you as the user will get a chance to be able to control how big that cache file is. So how much of your hard drive or hard drives you want to allocate to caching will control how much of that information you can preload. Now, even by their own admission, there's a lot of things that need to be worked out. We've talked about this as well, about, where do you locate that? Can you control which hard drive it goes onto? Can you say, I want to cache these particular regions or this particular flight path? We don't know that yet.
Like, say, if you know, for example, you're going to fly in, I don't know, Papua New Guinea or something like that. What we want is the ability to just cache all of Papua New Guinea and maybe some of the surrounding islands that we might visit. We don't want to have like the rest of the world or whatnot. We do want to have those particular areas. That, I believe, is something that they're going to be working on. They couldn't really give us a very definitive answer just yet about it. But now that they're at least aware that there are people out there who maybe only want this section of the world that they're going to fly in, it's become a little bit more of a priority for them.
But either way, you have the access to the entire planet. Yeah. Again, just rattling off a few stats here that we got it from here, is that the entire planet's available. Over 40,000 airports are in here. That's a little bit more than what FSX and Prepared have in there out of the box.
That tells me there's push strips.
Yep.
Isn't it like...
By the way, slow runways, all of that, that's in there.
So
that's in there.
You gotta try Look Club. You have to. I
didn't try Look Club.
I tried Look Club. Scary.
Well, of course it is.
It was you went. It's scary. You go.
There was like a range to the altitude. What the hell were you doing up there?
I was like, what the hell? I would just throttle, and all of a sudden the aircraft goes like this, and I'm just rolling down the runway. Yeah.
Wait. Just stop. I feel that we need to make sure the audience is quite aware that we go into this thing, and at this point in time, they do not have helicopters available. This man is flying a Cessna.
But the wings don't go round and round.
I tried to fly in this position, and
I love it.
It didn't work that well. I tried another one. I tried to do some more rotations.
And more importantly, he's liking it.
I like to
So can we just say that's where this sim is at? It's made certain people sit up and go, they were going to trash the sim and say Microsoft wins. And we've had Sergio, who only flies helicopters, actually enjoy flying a fixed wing. Like,
enjoying the sim, not the fixed. Come on.
They've gone through and as I was saying before, so with the imagery, it's then augmented on top of that. So it does also, they did augment it using Azure AI, which obviously we kind of know from the trailer. But that also includes doing things like removing clouds from the imagery that's come through. And also, as we all know, during satellite imagery, there are certain parts of the world which certain governments and private institutions don't like their shit being photographed. So they get them to blur it out on big maps, whatever. So what they do is that they take that blurring and they don't unblur it, but they will put something there.
Substituted for terrain.
A substitute for terrain or some sort of generic structure. So there's a lot of... So for anybody who's into AI coding, maybe look for a job with the server because you've got some fascinating stuff going on there. As I said, and the internet connection is also... So with that internet connection, always on things, as I said, fully offline is available. The appreciation sort of hybrid solutions is also available. And in terms of if you do go with the always online version, it's adaptive. So it adapts to the available bandwidth. So if you have a massive ton of bandwidth available, it will download like more finer, more extra detail. If you have less bandwidth available, it will scale that down and substitute in a few more procedural and sort of geotypical content come through.
Yeah.
So very intentional with that one. Animated grass blades that blow with the wind. Water is affected by the wind as well, including it creates waves and wave caps using the wind, which is good. That one we saw in a video we didn't see in the sim though. I've seen that. With the white caps.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't see that. The night lighting system's been overhauled and custom night lighting buildings. Okay,
night lighting looks incredible. I know we've been bitching about that in particular in X-Plane for quite some time. This is actually something to take note of. I've never in my life seen a sim represented.
I'm going to go even beyond that. So, one of the bugs is my current home airport of Williamtown is not modelled very well. However, at one point I ended up taxiing along and there was a house had been placed next to the airport. Anyway, as I said, they're still working on a few bugs. What I noticed was it was at night. So I had the street lights were on, and there was like a porch light. There was a animated, flickering blue light from a television on the ground floor in the living room of the AutoGen house.
Wow.
Sorry, I know that's a little bit insane, and I know you're not going to see it from 37,000 feet. But if you're low and slow...
Yeah, it's like with helicopters?
Helicopters and GA and stuff like that, then you are going to see stuff like that. And that is part of what makes a living world.
Yeah.
Is you have that. You have people up all night, stuff like that.
Well, the airport they had for the official demo area, Renton, of course, where we are, Renton's a towered airport. It's a GA airport. It was one of the ones that we actually have a tower here. If you taxi over to where the tower actually is in this sim, you can see, looking up at the tower, the computer screens inside. You can't see any people. There are no people that I was able to find modeled in this. I don't know if that's perhaps an area of opportunity, but you can see all the little computer screens and everything. You can see the radar in there. It's wild. It's just totally wild.
So there's a lot going on in this sim world, that is for sure. So a lot of highlights. So the key takeaways, as I said. So yeah, the whole world. It's it's photo real where available, and if you're online, and if you're not online, that's fine. You can still experience flight for the world with stupid numbers of airports. Slope runways, again, as Sergio agreed, yes, slope runways are present, so that's a big one. I know that's been something that ESP users have been asking for
since forever.
So there's that. Probably, I was going to say, the sky one we might...
The important thing to remember with the sky, at least what I was able to take away...
Well, first one is it's not true sky.
Right.
That's the first thing. Like,
it is volumetric, however.
Yeah.
And in addition to which, they've actually... The way they put it, they've modeled what is essentially from... sea level up to beyond cirrus level. So we're talking about 37,000 feet on average. It's all modeled in multiple layers. So you can have layers. Yeah, you can have your cumulonimbus clouds, which honestly, not very many, if any, sims have been able to pull that off up until now. You're seeing representations.
Well, out of the box anyway. Out of the box.
Yeah. You're seeing visual representations of that, but more importantly, you're seeing the airflow represented. If you're taking a plane through there, you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've tested this.
Yeah. And it's done via... they're doing this kind of like using Lego blocks, right? It's not these models or textures that are just expanded.
It's not just a lump that happens to look like
it's not one point of reference.
They have particles doing this, so they actually build the clouds using, I would say, a particle system, but using something kind of similar to a particle system.
I was going to say, in many ways, it seems very, very similar to the latest generation of the Rex and Active Sky products that do that sort of faceted sort of building of the clouds. So they're definitely, observing and listening and seeing the quality that's come through. But on top of that is what that also gives us is not only does it give us the sensation of those clouds, but because they are built that way, it also provides shadowing. Now, with your multiple layers of cloud, so you've got, if you've got a gap in one layer of cloud, and then there's another layer of cloud underneath it, you will see that it will be lit in that hole, and it will be shadowed as well underneath it.
It's pretty so freaking incredible, guys.
It's pretty.
You guys know what I think about eye candy, but this is not eye candy. This is representation of reality as it is.
Well, you know what it is too. Think about this. We flew in yesterday, and the weather was almost perfectly depicted. We had like scattered clouds, various cloud layers. So we literally saw this when we were on the approach into SeaTac. And then here it is today, the very next day, we get to experience the same thing virtually to basically confirm that they've done it right.
They've got weather modelling as well in terms of rain, thunderstorms, supercells. They're all modelled as well.
Real world.
The only thing we couldn't get confirmation on was
cyclones, hurricanes,
tornadoes,
your real extremes of weather. They've said it's under review, so
might get it, might not, might be space for Active Sky.
They don't know, but it's still something that they are working with. Okay, so real world weather is back.
With a vengeance.
With a vengeance, and actually works too. So they didn't drop names with this one. So of course, the history is that of course Eversex had Jefferson real world data feed, and when that licensing agreement ran out, so did the real weather. So we don't. They said there are agreements in place, or they are not even agreements in place. They said they've worked out how to do it, but it's sort of like how they're doing it, they didn't say. Honestly, that data's available. It's public information data. So the question is
maybe not worldwide. Maybe not worldwide.
Yeah, safety. As long as there's as long as they're a weather station, it's transmitting.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my guess is this perhaps is where something like Microsoft's Azure computing probably really leverages it. It can seek that information out, gather it, collate it, and send it down.
That would make sense.
We used the real world weather today during while we were testing, and I did it in different parts of the world. So I tested weather out back in Australia. I tested it in Dubai. I tested it somewhere else too. Can't remember where now.
Yeah, no, I did
and
free
locally
tests.
as well.
I did the one that they wanted us to do, the Renton, basically this area, Seattle.
And we stick our heads outside from where we were testing and go, no, it actually looks like that. And it did.
It did Pittsburgh, and of course they nailed all the various thermals coming off the hills and so on. And that's a very important point that I just want to segue on, because I know there are a lot of glider pilots, glider aficionados that watch this. Yes, they got thermals correct. And even the third test that I did in Jamaica, I ran into like the same kind of issue. I reenacted like a childhood flight that my dad would take me on. And it's pretty accurate. It is very accurate. But that also ties into the aerodynamics, which we're going to go into in a moment.
So lots of happening with that one. And I know, Sergio, you went through some mountains as well and actually saw the way the clouds were sort of interacting with the mountains as well.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was really amazing. You don't see the clouds moving, but you can understand that there's some dynamics on how the clouds are built around mountains and how the air flows into the valleys, and all of a sudden you have not only clouds up on the sky, but you have clouds down, touching actually touching the ground.
And not sort of like the old, prepared thing where they clip through the mountains and stuff like that. No, this is actually sort of
you can see the flow of this.
And we saw some sort of time lapse footage of where we actually have how they've done the weather and the cloud model is that it actually sort of works with the precipitation, with the temperature, with the humidity, so you can actually build clouds from that. So it's not sort of saying there's a cloud over here. It's actually going, well, the conditions are this. What cloud would form with this and that kind of stuff.
And yes, very, very, very important point. Traditionally, in a lot of flight sims, we're used to seeing things like what is the temperature, what is the wind speed, what is the wind direction, and it's basically shades of gray as far as that's concerned. They're also modeling the humidity. They're also modeling the dew point and stuff like that. And all of that takes effect from ground up. So when you're flying, your airliners up high or whatnot, obviously you're going to have less humidity than if you're in a Cessna like 1,500 feet or whatnot.
And you will have your jet streams and stuff like that. They are all
jet streams modeled, yes. Yeah. All of that has come into play. And that's honestly something that I have not seen in the flight sim community for ever, really.
No, I think third parties model it.
Well, third parties, but I mean, as far as like it comes with the thing.
Yeah, this is a base package, right? This is something that
we haven't even.
So everything we're talking about, folks, and we probably might use that as a quick sidebar just to go through that in terms of add-ons. Is that all that's been confirmed is that they have engaged with third-party developers. There were no names that would confirm, but they said they are actively engaged with a variety of...
Yeah, they actually talked about dozens of third-party developers. So it's pretty safe.
They did allude to a lot of the ones that we are used to knowing.
Yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say that all the big ones were definitely contacted by them. So it's not going to be...
So I think you guys can all rest assured that your favourite flight sim developer will most likely be on board. Yeah. So we're going to move from here into aerodynamics, and this is where, Sergio, I'm going to pick up on the asterisks we put on Sergio's statement earlier on.
I was talking about the game, the graphics engine.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So and this is where we probably need to make a bit of a distinction here, and something that I have mixed feelings on. So the aerodynamics.
It was a long day, guys.
I've been traveling a long way to be here.
We haven't even mentioned the real life flights that we all went on after playing around in the sim. That's all I will say about that.
Yeah.
Disclaimer, spoiler alert. Anyway, so a couple of things about the aerodynamics. The first thing that I want to point out here, just as an aside, is that this is important enough that it's actually being coded by the CEO of Azobo. The head dude, like the head honcho of that, is the guy who's hands-on with the code for aerodynamics. That's how serious, and that's how serious they are taking this.
Yeah.
So it's not just subcontracted out or anything else or whatever. This team is a family. They're a 100-person team, and they're all involved. Like a lot of them went out and they got pilots licenses. They got flight training. They've gone out, and then that's why one of the most detailed aircraft that you see in the sim is the Robin D 400. Is because that's where most of them learned. That's what most of them learned to fly. So
they've got a full cockpit setup that they.
We'll get to that in the next set. We'll get in the next section.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
that's the next section. So aerodynamics. So why did I put an asterisk next to Sergio's comment of the new engine? Because Sergio said it's a new graphics engine. Because the physics engine is based on FSX code. It is
part of it.
Part of it. It is partial. It is. They have adopted some elements, but they've also rewritten a lot.
Right.
Now, the first key part that is that was really interesting. I am both very happy that they did it. I'm also surprised that they did it. Is they threw out lookup tables.
Yay! Yay!
Lookup tables
Finally.
are gone.
They're gone. Straight
Finally.
That's it.
Finally.
But we did not replace them with element blade theory. Thank God.
You can breathe easy on that one.
Yeah.
So they've created a new system. They've got their own proprietary system that they're putting in here.
I would say if we had to give it some kind of name, I think it's pretty
Choose
much...
your words carefully. We may end up getting...
No, I'm not going
We may end up paying go around for this.
No, I'm not going to give any names or
Yeah.
propose any names or try to start a trend.
But hey,
Well,
Morrison,
you
by the
did
way,
say
if you do want to
I'm
claim
not-
the name, that's
yeah.
fine. You can send the checks to the 3 Grumpy Simmers.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yes.
so continue.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter. I would say that it's probably surface-based aerodynamics.
Yeah.
Because they're doing everything based on small portions of the surface of the aircraft. So the thing is, if you allow it, the thing is, aircraft in FSX used to be a single entity.
Yep.
Right. And you had this single entity, which
One
is
point.
not a finger, it's something big. It's a
But it's
Cessna
a box.
747, yeah.
It's a box.
It's a box. And that box had one single point of processing for everything that was happening, right? So
Single point of inertia, single point of momentum.
Single point, you had gravity here, you had lift here, and you ever see those diagrams that show you 4 forces that go into an aircraft? You have
Money.
Yeah,
Sorry,
pretty much.
That was the way that FSX worked.
Yeah.
You had a single point, and you influenced that point, and everything on the aircraft would work based on that point. What they are doing right now is actually filling the aircraft with thousands of points, splitting the aircraft into thousands of small portions, and all those portions are calculated, and they actually they are not independent, or they're not independent at all, or not completely independent, because one surface can influence the other.
Right.
Now, the air going through a surface
flowing
doing
over the
something
wing. Yep.
is going to influence the other one, and the other one, the other one. So you now have thousands of points of forces that are constantly being calculated so that you get the aircraft to behave as it should. Instead of having a table saying, okay, if the aircraft is going at this speed, at this altitude, at this, it will do this, and the whole aircraft did something. And that calculation could be probably right for a certain portion of the aircraft, not the other one. And they give us a great example. If you're flying and you have a cloud beside you, and your wing gets into the cloud, and there's turbulence in that cloud, you'll feel the turbulence on the wing, not the whole aircraft.
Yeah, that's what you will now. Yeah.
Yeah. So if there's an updraft, you feel the updraft on the wing.
Instead of just the whole aircraft is going up, you'll actually impact one wing.
And that's the crucial thing. I remember that recently when Microsoft released the one video that had like the stalls and the spins and whatnot, they really took a lot of flack for that. And actually, a lot of us kind of were skeptical about it as well. But when you understand like some of the physics that's going on behind, some of the explanations that we got today, it all really starts to make sense. And honestly, it actually, I don't even want to go there, but it actually kind of does fall in line with a lot of the stuff that X-Plane does. You can potentially stall one wing deliberately or accidentally.
That was a big test for me, is being able to prove that I can stall one wing and one wing only, and I could. There's only one other sim I've ever been able to do that in, and that was Flight Sim World. So that's a big important thing. Now, I probably just want to, while we're clarifying points about stuff as well, probably that's another one, is there was a lot of suspicion, including commentary from us, where we discussed whether the whole reach back, now that, Flight Sim World closed, and suddenly this sim's on the market.
Right.
So there is no flight sim world code in here at all.
That's been confirmed.
Yeah.
Zip. There's nothing.
I was wrong. Okay.
So,
Yeah, we can close this door.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we can close that door now.
Nothing more to talk about.
But with that having been said,
But having said that though, it has had an influence, at least in what they've done. They may not have a code-based influence, but there is some influences that have come through in the UI and some features, which we'll get to after we've sort of gone through the official line of notes and stuff like here. They've also provided a new, in terms of core physics, new collision model, slope runways we talked about, new friction model, skidding and braking has been redone as well, which is very important. In terms of the physics integration as well, now this is very X-Plane-esque, where it's sort of done with how many, correct me if I'm wrong here to you two X-Plane aficionados, but it's the number of simulations per second or per frame or something.
Yep.
So essentially what Microsoft's done is they've stepped up the number that will happen per frame or per second.
Right.
So you have more physics checks
Yeah.
going along, so to make it more realistic. However, it is scalable.
And it's not. This is very important because
It's adaptively scalable.
yeah, it's adaptively scalable, and it's not depending on frame rate.
Which the X-Plane one is.
Now, what does that mean for like the layperson? Let's say, for example, you are flying the aforementioned potato computer.
No, it's a yam.
You will still, even if you're getting lower frame rates, get proper simulation of
Physics.
your aircraft.
Yes. Yep.
Traditionally, what we're used to seeing, if you're getting slightly lower FPS, if you're down to like the low 20s and so on and so forth, your plane is damn near unflyable.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's not the case in this particular instance.
Though, to be fair, the equipment they had us running on, I think, was pretty
It was kind of top notch.
top notch. So we didn't actually get to see this in action, as it were, but that's what we've been told. So it's got updated inertia matrices, adaptive timestamp we just talked about. Also, they've overhauled the fuel consumption logic engine, turn coordinator system, load factor has been how it handles load factor and P factor has been modified. Flaps have also been modelled, so instead of being, again, lookup tables, as the flaps do at the moment, now, again, it's aerodynamically modelled, so it actually is how that surface does break up the airflow.
It works.
Can I just also, interesting, so there was a throwaway line that was used in here, which is that the external gear and external fuel tanks and their aerodynamic impact have been modelled. Now, I'm going to pick up on that last thing for a second. What uses external fuel tanks except military aircraft?
Yeah, exactly.
So, again, officially at the moment, folks, there is no military aircraft.
Yeah.
There's no
helicopters.
I'm sorry. No helicopters.
No, but they gave us some great news.
So what they did say, however, is that they, and we'll probably go into this a bit more when we get again off this topic, is that they did say that it's they want to get this right, which means until they get it right, they're not going to put it out half-assed. Yeah, I'm happy with that answer. So.
Yeah, and further to that, we did have a poke around a lot of the UI, and we did happen to notice in the aircraft selection they do have the categories there.
They have categories for
everything you can think of, basically.
Props, turboprops, jets, fast jets. Rotorcraft, drones, and other.
I believe I saw something for seaplanes or float planes as well.
There was still images on the menu on the UI of a Piper Cub with floats.
Yeah, but don't count on anything.
But don't count on anything coming anytime.
Yeah, that's not to say that it's going to be there at launch, but just know that it's on the plate.
They didn't tell which categories are going to be out or not, but I can tell you definitely helicopters are not going to be present on the first version, and I'm happy. They could have. Well,
the first version, at least, that comes out the public in terms of the tech alphas, like the alphas and betas.
Yeah, but
we may see it at launch day. We still don't. Again, we're starting to drift in speculation. But they said that they want to get it right, which is what happened.
Well, but
that's the most important.
I kind of got a confirmation that on the final release, helicopters may not be. Yeah, probably won't be in the sim because again, they could have given me 2 answers, and they gave me the one that I was expecting to get, which is no, but we will do them when we get to a point where everything else is done. Yeah. Everything else is pretty much closed. Everything, all the fundamentals are there.
They can dedicate to it.
Yeah, and now we want to do it right. And 2 or 3 guys from the team, from Microsoft, from Zoho, they told me that, okay, when we get there, we'll talk to you, we'll talk to the community, and we'll see what is it that you guys want to do. And we'll work with you to get this done. And that was if someone asked me what kind of answer I would like to have from Microsoft, it would be exactly this one. And I got it. So,
and that too is a recurring theme throughout the course of the day.
Yeah.
If it's something that, for example, VR, of course, my biggest joy in flight sim, VR, it's something that honestly, almost every single dev that I spoke with has had experience with VR. They know how important it is. It's a lot to implement right now, and they really can't promise it for launch, but it is definitely something that's
on their radar.
A big priority for them. And I try to impress upon them, just how many of us there are and how...
Because we know how many of you use VR.
And we expect that number to increase, and we made them aware of that.
They are aware. The thing is, they are aware. Here's the thing. They have to release... They are a company.
Yep.
Right, so they have to release a product and start making money sometime.
Yeah, they got deadlines.
Down the road, right? So something has to come up. They know the community wants VR. They are fully aware of it.
When we see it, it's going to be.
They are fully. But just like with helicopters, probably not. My voice is really failing on me. I'm sorry, I'm really tired, guys. But probably not on the first version.
Right.
So don't expect it to be.
Yeah. So and again, to carry on with just a few more notes about the aerodynamics. Again, it's totally what we're talking about with the small surface modeling. We saw a video showing like how they see that in how they see the forces acting on the aircraft, and you can actually see. And funny enough, even they in development did a single wing stall. So it's interesting that they actually use that as the benchmark. So that was very impressive, and you actually got to see that. Yeah, you actually got to see that, and you actually got to see the lift lines as they failed.
And they go from red to red. Lines
from
went
green
to red,
yellow to red, and then
lines went to red when it was starting to stall, and you get that moment where they go red, yellow, red, and red.
And watching the cascade go.
All of a sudden,
it's a gradual build-up.
Yeah. But even as I said, even watching a single wing stall where only one wing stalled completely, and the other one was still producing lift, that was really impressive. Anyway, so they also talk about how the aerodynamics model influences and is influenced by the weather model.
Yeah.
As they've done a brand new, completely brand new to the sim, air mass simulation. They're actually using a global 3D fluid model to put in there. So that's a huge deal.
That's pretty much groundbreaking. I don't know any other sim that's been done.
Which funny enough aids into what we were talking about before at the start of this, which is talking about the growth of the clouds and stuff like that. So that's all part of this fluid model that's included. And also how the 3D environment affects the weather model as well in aerodynamics, and talking about the updrafts and stuff like that. So you will actually experience an updraft, and again, if only one wing passes over there where there's an updraft, it was your one wing that will lift.
Yeah.
So that's kind of model.
And the wind, they show the wind in valleys, in the turbulence, the turbulence behind,
and actually watching the turbulence of the turbulence spiral come through as well. So there's so much going on with that. It's really impressive how the physics going now.
And that was the beauty of it, because we got to see basically the physics project, the science project.
Yeah.
This is how it works. This is the visualization of it. But then we also got to try that to verify, okay, if I do fly over a mountain, yes, I do have an updraft, and come on the other side of the leeward side of the mountain, yeah, it gets a little rough there.
And flying over, for example, flying over an urban area, and you're flying over a bit of grass or something, you will feel the updraft.
Yeah.
That actually happened in the sim. The last major topic that we sort of give notes on is cockpits. That's both termed in terms of virtual and home built. So probably sort of do this one a bit backwards. So starting with the end. For all of you home cockpit builders or people who use additional peripherals, it is still supporting SimConnect.
Yes.
So if your peripheral is managed by SimConnect or SimConnect plugin, it should work with the new Flight Simulator, which is a really big deal. There also will be opening up new variables beyond the one that was in the Legacy Sim Director SDK. So you'll find that more will be available now. So even more stuff can be put onto your peripherals now. They very much believe in and want to support home cockpit building and peripheral building. They built, as Drew alluded to earlier, they actually built their own home cockpit using the Robin DR400. So they can actually go out in the real aircraft, fly that, and then they can come back and test it in the sim in a cockpit. That's cool.
Yeah. That's cool. That's a cool job.
That is
right. That is a cool job.
Okay, so this is probably, and then finally, so again, so we've seen a few aircraft in the trailer video. So we got hands-on with 3 vehicles today. So we got ourselves hands-on with Cessna 172 with SP with a Garmin G1000.
Yep.
We got hands-on with the Robin DR400. And we got hands-on with the Doha TBM.
Doha Sakata TBM 900, which just about everybody in X-Plane is familiar with that.
I was going to say it's a most big thing. So now, again, did we see bugs in it? Yes, but again, it's an alpha at the moment. But they've gone through. They've
bugs and everything.
But basically, they've proven that they can model both analog and digital cockpits really, really well. Very highly detailed. Gone through the lighting system that's come through in this sim is really kind of cool because I especially picked up on this. So currently when you turn a light on, especially in the cockpit, it's just sort of this sort of god ball.
Yeah, here's your light.
Goes everywhere kind of thing. Basically, it's an effects file. Whereas this one, it's actually based out of the single bulb. It's actually lighting it up, and it's from that is how it handles it. So yes, it is PBR as well, by the way, folks.
Fully PBR. Like the shadows, the SSAO, ambient occlusion, screen space ambient occlusion, all that kind of stuff. It's all in there.
Now, for you people that love flying departure and approach plates, this is probably going to be a big one for you. They're in there. Now, we don't know the update rhythm. We haven't been told that. They said that they still don't know. But when you're going through creating a flight, you choose, in some ways, and this is where sort of reminding us a bit of Flight Sim World, is you would choose your starting point, you choose you choose your starting location, you choose your final destination. It's a map style selector as well, so you can sort of Dropbox type it, or you can zoom around the map of the Earth, very Flight Sim World style, zoom in. But then you zoom in and you keep zooming in, and then it becomes a bit like X-Plane, where you actually see the runways and all the parking spots. So you actually sort of go, right, I want to start from gate 23 at Sydney Airport, and that's it. And then you go pick your end airports, that's good. But then what you do is that you can then pick your SIDS and stars. So if you know your departure runway, you can choose the one to do, and all that data is in there. It will actually then drop in all the waypoints into your instant flight plan straight away.
We do have confirmation that they are going to be running a proprietary FMC. They're not rehashing the same FMC from FSX or prior versions. They're doing their own thing, but it's going to integrate seamless.
I thought it was a third party, the one that was like a freeware thing you had to download. I didn't think it actually had a proper FMC.
Yeah, it was pretty basic.
It was basic, wasn't it? Rubbish, wasn't it? Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah.
But we didn't see an aircraft which had that, so we could expect that through. But yes, it's a full flight planning, including SIDS and stars, are all included there. And you said all the news buttons and switches as well.
Further to that, going back to the whole point with the airports and so on and so forth, if you set yourself up on a runway, by default, your aircraft is on, you're ready for takeoff. We got to see like a brief little animation where...
That happens everywhere.
You see yourself taxiing.
No, that happens everywhere. That's not just renting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you select a runway starting location... you will see a small animation of your aircraft taxiing along the nearest taxiway and going to the hold short point. You will hear an audio of your virtual self
clearance.
talking to ATC, getting clearance to depart, and then you'll see it taxi and line up on the runway.
And then
you can skip it, but you can actually watch the whole thing, and then it will drop you the copy ready to go.
And then conversely, if you go back to that airport map and you choose one of the actual parking spots, you can start out completely cold and dark.
By default, if you pick a gate, it will shut your aircraft down.
Additionally, you also have the capability of opening up checklists. So for those of you cold and dark guys that really want to go through your entire checklist,
your checklists are there.
It's included by default.
Yep. Yeah. And this is again where that sort of it may not be Flight Sim World code, but it's where I think at least we can see something there. I don't know whether the team had been developing it before Flight Sim World. I don't know, but you have your checklist. You can pin it, and then you go through each item. And then if you're not sure where that item is, you click a little eye, and it will highlight where that switch is on your console.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And that's really cool. And that's probably where we're sort of going to move now into some more general observations that we saw during this. Is that the philosophy of the development team, I found, was to be really positive.
Right.
Very open, very positive, very...
Yeah.
They were, in my opinion, they were very
passionate. Very passionate.
Yeah.
Passion was there.
And they acknowledged that their leaving the community was not handled well. That the community is suspicious of their return. Yeah. And they know they've got to earn our trust. But at the same time, they are also very... You can see how passionate they are, and the fact that they're here for the long haul. Like, they are here to make a sim.
They're thinking at least 10 years ahead on this thing. Yeah, they want to build this thing to last. Basically, is what I'm getting from everything that I saw today and everybody that I spoke with.
And again, I'm going to get into a little bit of speculation here, but I'm wondering if it's a very Microsoft philosophy at the moment, which is they make sort of a definitive one and then just incrementally, continually develop it. Sort of that whole agile software development sort of process. It's all about don't have a major release every 2 years or 5 years or whatever. It's just build on top of what you've got incrementally. So you push such small change out very quickly and stuff like that. So, so the fact to see their commitment to it, to see their passion and their drive to actually sort of create the best thing around. But also, as I said, like their target market is very much at the dedicated simmer.
Yeah, the hardcore simmers.
I hate that term. You know that. It's not as bad as study level, but anyway.
That's what I'm saying.
But at the same time, and this is where I really felt they got the community part right, because, and again, we've talked about this before, is that one of the drawbacks of our community is that so many of us have been doing it for so long that we tend to forget that we all started somewhere.
Right.
We all started and turned on a flight sim and went, WTF. We all did the whole throw the throttle forward, pull the stick back and see what happens thing.
And then read the manual after.
Exactly. We tend to forget that at some stage or other we all did that. And Microsoft has shown that they are very much here for the simmer who's been here for a long time, but they have not forgotten that at some point we will die. So we need to bring up the next generation of simmers. And that's what they're also aiming to still... This may not be their prime market, but they've got the tools in place to foster that growth.
Yeah.
To foster those people, to walk them through a checklist. And again, at the end of the day, when you sit in a real aeroplane for the first time, before you do a type rating, you will have a checklist. You will have an instructor beside you that will point out this is the anti-ice switch. This is where your your information is. So by having the guided checklist there available, and then also having, if you want to skip the cold and dark, and you want to just start it, you still have Control E.
Yep.
That is still available.
It's still there.
Still there. It's still auto start. Oh, other thing that I know came up a lot. A lot of people always complain about the whole park brakes get removed when you tap the brakes. They fixed it. They fixed it. You cannot turn off park brake by tapping the brakes anymore. You can't do it. You actually have to disengage the parking brake. So I know that a few viewers of my channel have been asking me that. So yes, there you go. The interviews for you guys. So it was great to see that passion.
Priorities.
It was a priority. The next one is to see how badly there's stuff like the time zone in Australia. So it was great to see that passion and that drive for development to actually grow this all into the next generation. So that was really important to see. Other thoughts and carries across? And what other highlights did we all pick up?
I am just incredibly awed and humbled by the fact that, number one, they acknowledge the areas where they did wrong, or things happened in the past that obviously maybe this particular group of people didn't have any control over, but they acknowledge, it might not have been the best decision. But the commitment to listening to everything that we had to say, and let me make this absolutely clear, we went in there with a full expectation to pick this entire thing apart. Mm-hmm. And we picked up on as many things as we could. I'm going to throw it out there because I think it's probably the hugest irony of this entire trip. This hotel that we are in right now, they modeled Renton Airport, they modeled Seattle, and it was perfect. When we went up to fly in real life, we got to pick up everything that we saw in the sim. Everything was perfectly modeled, except this hotel. This hotel was a patch of grass with some cars behind. And I thought that was hugely ironic. I have to throw it out there. I mentioned it to the developers. They didn't even realize it at the time, but once I made them aware of it,
you saw the factory next door.
I got the commitment that that's something that they intend to fix. And that was pretty much, that set the tone for the entire day. Anytime that we brought up something that we thought was a little bit questionable, we had two of the devs writing stuff down. Yeah.
So guys, they are very much
they're listening.
And
listening. They are listening.
And they did highlight and that they do read the forums. They read all the posts and all the forums. And they have been doing it for several years before any of us knew this thing existed.
Right. They're there. They're watching. So yeah.
they I don't know if they're making a list though. But we're checking it twice. But
if they are, I'm not there.
No, you're not.
Yeah, that's a whole other situation.
That one we'll get to later. It's just are there issues? Yeah, absolutely.
Let's just cut to the chase. They just
TLDR.
They just hit us on the nuts.
Yeah.
We just. I was expecting.
We tried.
We try to break it. We try to do also.
The thing is, we try to tone down during our past episodes. We try to tone down this all this hype, but above everything, we try to be very neutral
and balanced. Yeah, right.
Regarding all the information that we were not getting, so we could talk about the sim, of which we have no information. Right? So we were not going to bash it because we had no information, and we weren't going to praise it because we had no information. But the fact that we had no information also got us to think, what is it that they are hiding?
Mm-hmm.
And we usually tend to think, okay, they're hiding something
And
bad.
that's unfortunate. And
It
unfortunately,
is very
that's
unfortunate.
and that's a societal thing.
Yeah.
It's not a flight sim community.
It's
It's a
just
society.
we expect this from
Yeah, we expect the
companies,
worst. Usually.
Yeah, yeah.
right? So Microsoft is a company, and we expect this from. And Microsoft did what they did with Microsoft Flight. So yeah, they have this amazingly huge and awesome track record, and then they did Microsoft Flight, and then they go very silent.
And then they just wash their hands of the entire community.
Yeah, and then they came up with this new sim that they presented at E3, and there's not a lot more information coming up. So, yeah, we were skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
We were skeptical. And I was so ready to be disappointed today.
Yeah.
And I felt like they kicked me in the nuts. and when I was
And you said thank you for it.
Yes,
and that's yeah.
Yeah.
So
Pretty much we all did.
Yeah.
And that's probably a common thing that came out of today is that every single person that I talked to that attended here today, we were all expecting to be disappointed, and we all got blown away.
Yeah.
A couple of other things I want to pick up on as well. Again, a couple of overall highlights that we saw during the day is that I got to see a couple of other simmers testing out as well and doing things like, so for example, volumetric clouds, but rain effects. Yes, you have your windshield rain effects are there, but the lighting effects that go with that.
Mm-hmm.
So the lighting effects of everything with PBR, it just blew my mind. So I'm flying at night.
Yes.
I'm flying at night
Yes.
down the eastern coast of Australia in the rain, and as I'm flying over Newcastle, I'm getting reflections of streetlights coming up and reflecting off the raindrops on my windscreen,
And on the clouds as well.
and on the bottom of the clouds.
By the way, further to that, they have rainbows.
Yes.
And
Yes.
but get this, they're not there as an effect, as a special effect file. It's the weather engine, a graphics engine natively produce it
Again,
because
if
it's
you-
dealing with the physics
We
of
have the lighting,
light reflecting.
raindrop,
If you have the-
refracted.
If you have the data, if the data is there for rainbows to form,
It's
It
going
forms.
to
the
form.
engine will form rainbows.
And you will see it realistically. If the rain
Yeah.
stops here, but the bow goes there, you're missing this part of the bow.
And it's going to sound odd, but you can actually sort of see the rain, and if there's like a cloud, you can navigate around rain clouds, and or if you get close to them, it sort of spits a little bit,
Yeah.
and then you go hit the summer storm. It's like, yeah, and like you
That's all I know.
use that to navigate, as like the lights coming through. Like there's just so much amazing stuff. Couple of other features that I do want to sort of highlight that are not done yet. Now, stressing the next few features that we're going to talk about are very much, they weren't enabled, but being the kind of people that we are, we poke our noses where they probably don't belong. So we start sticking our noses around menus and
They should
tweaking
have known better.
shit and whatever. Anyway, so cool story. Avatar mode is coming.
Oh yeah, they mentioned.
So they didn't mention it until after we found it.
No, actually, they mentioned something because I talked to them about cameras. I think I was with you with Frugal.
Yeah, that was when I was talking about
Oh,
being
yeah,
in VR
We
and
were
being out of the
talking about-
cockpit and walking
We were
around doing a
talking
walk
about
around.
Yeah.
having cameras and having the ability to have cinematic cameras and whatnot. And I was talking to one of the developers and I was telling them, we need some more control over cameras because we as content creators. Sometimes we want to take some screenshots of the scenery, so we need to have more control.
We just want to be able to do our plan our own video stuff. Yeah.
And you were talking about the ability to walk around the airports, and what the developer said, we have something like that already. So Avatar mode.
I think so. You got to once I was talking to one of the devs, and it was like, so I was looking at the menu. It says Avatar mode. Tell me more about that. He's like, how did you know? It's like, I went to the menu. It's there.
Yeah.
This is what you get when you invite us to an event.
So
P.S.
there's-
Don't invite them because I was just.
We're going to look at everything.
So, okay, so Living World. Yes, there is Living World in terms of road traffic. at present. There is wildlife, however, it is not hugely implemented yet. It's still a work in progress. AI aircraft and AI boat traffic are not in the sim yet. They will be there. The sliders are there for it.
Yeah. They couldn't really discuss a lot of the back-end tech that's going into the AI system, which, honestly, I don't really want to put on a speculation hat, but that tells me it's not what we're used to seeing before.
Yeah,
they have real-time data for...
And that's what I'm about to get into. So one of the interesting things was...
There's an option there.
So one of the interesting things is that when you click on an airport, you can actually click on and see, and it actually says live data. So if it's a main airport that's served by commercial flights, it will actually have all the commercial ops, everything that's in the traffic around there. So it's like, okay, so we already know it's possible because there is a freeware piece of AI, so a freeware add-on out there for ESP that does actual genuine real world traffic. It picks it up off flight radar and injects it into your sim. So it looks like that may be coming to our sim. It's still the features very much doesn't work there. It's grayed out, but I'm like, yeah, tell me all about this. So there's that.
And just to remind you, everything that we're talking about here is just stuff that's going to be related to the default version of the sim. We're not even discussing the third parties and what potential they have, because they definitely did give me the impression today that the door is wide open for third parties to come in and fill in the blanks as needed.
And that's something else, is that I know a lot of people have been asking about SDKs and stuff like that. So they've confirmed that yes, the SDK will be made available to everyone. It will not be a purchase as SDK. It will be freely available, just like we had previously with previous Microsoft FSX. You will have access to the full SDK, no purchase required.
And it will also understand that. Yeah, they also understand that.
And they get that you can't do what ED do and force you to buy into it. It does have to be open and available from the ground up. They've also updated how we can mess with parameters of aircraft. So in that set, I think they're getting more along the X-plane lines.
Yeah, they've actually introduced more sim vars or sim variables that we can actually work with.
And now we don't need to deal with binary to manipulate them. We can actually manipulate them using a text editor, which is a pretty big update on that one. So there's a few new things going on. So I think, a lot of stuff came out of today. I'm pretty sure there's more stuff. We're probably a little bit brain fried right now.
My brain wants to.
Because I'm about ready to check out. It's midnight here, so we've been going since I don't even know what day of the week it is. So we're gonna round out today.
Let me just say something.
No.
There's a guy. I can hit you now. Wait, I can hit you.
Before this all devolves, come on, finish your thought.
Well, there's an ACES person on the team.
ACES Studios.
There's an ACES Studio guy working on the project, and I was just amazed, and I was just so happy to see someone that understood the whole product.
Former fighter pilot, no less.
Yeah, former F-15 pilot, and it was great to see. And he understands the whole spectrum of simmers. That's the thing, and he's there for everyone. And he was one actually coming to meet me and talk to me about the fact that he was part of ACES and whatnot, and he's there and. Being able to get in touch with a piece of flight history, a guy from the ACES studios, and knowing that he was leading the charge with the rest of the team to get flight sim to go forth, it was just an amazing sensation, an amazing feeling. That's the main feeling that I'm living this event. That these guys want to do it right,
and they want to engage. They want to engage. They want to build those relationships and keep those building relationships.
And they promised us. They promised us they're going to be more. They're going to do more communications. They're going to be more talkative with the community. More so, probably, after the embargo.
Yeah.
So
we should see more regular communication from them once, pretty much as this goes live.
And more interaction between the developers and the actual community instead of just some press. I'm hoping so.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
There was a lot of and something else that sort of talking about that with the whole we got very much the impression of how passionate they are, but also they're also very conscious of the fact that. And it was pointed out that this is Microsoft's longest running franchise. It predates Windows.
Yep.
Yeah.
This franchise has been around longer than their operating system has, longer than Office has.
Mm-hmm.
And inside Microsoft, it is very much it's acknowledged that it's such a big part of Microsoft's foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very aware of the heavy burden of history that weighs upon them, but they also don't want to be weighed down by it either. Sorry, that's actually a really key point that I meant to mention before, but we got sidetracked. And this was the part where I said earlier, folks, you heard me say that I had mixed feelings about this certain element coming in here, because I want to round this out by actually asking you guys your thoughts on this one. So it was announced to us today. As I said, I was very surprised, and as I said, I had mixed feelings about it. That the current plan, whether this turns out or not is a different story, the current plan is that you will be able to use Microsoft Flight Simulator as this new creature that it is, or you can flick a switch and essentially turn it into FSX with better graphics. Meaning that all your content that currently and we asked them point blank. So if it works in FSX, will it work in the new sim? And they said with that mode ticked, yes.
Well, it does have.
It's a big tipping point for a lot of the hardcore folks that are staying on the old platform.
Here's the thing: they need to get guys that are still playing FSX into the new sim.
How about FS9? How about FS9? There's nothing worse to FS9.
Look, you have to stop somewhere. That's the thing. FS9 add-ons don't work very well on FSX.
Yeah. So FSX. It's an interesting point because I know that there's been, because that was one of the big complaints about Flight Sim World, about Microsoft Flight as well, and about people who are looking at migrating to V4 and migrating and even going to X-Plane or another sim or whatever, but I've spent X amount of dollars of add-ons and so many years with this FSX. I don't want to have to rebuy them all again. Which is, I get it. I don't even want to total up how much money I've spent on the ESP platforms in the last 10 years. But anyway, so it was very interesting that they did it. I said, I've got mixed feelings about it. I definitely agree. I think it's a great idea because we can...
it is.
And especially for those of us who have FSX add-ons that work very well, that we really, really love, that we don't have in any other platform. It'd be great to have them there. But at the same time, I'm concerned because I wonder then how far away, how far can you really go with maintaining backwards compatibility back to something that
was one of the things I was afraid of.
It's 13 years old. 14 by the time this sim releases.
I mean, I understand the rationale as to why they did that as far as their internal testing to, make sure that there is that parity, that difference between what they're trying to work on versus what was previously available. Not quite sure that I actually agree with leaving it in as something that the end user can opt to do or not, because then you're just basically perpetuating the old system.
You may not be perpetuating the old system. If they did it right, they can separate it. It's possible.
They said
that it wasn't that hard. They were the ones saying it. It wasn't that hard to build a new system and yet leave the old system there.
And it's not like, and also you won't be able to, from the way they talked about it, you won't be able to use any of the new features, any of the new aircraft in that mode. You would have to like close the sim, change this mode over, and relaunch the sim.
See it X-Plane has the same thing. You have two flight models. You have two flight models in X-Plane.
It's more evident in the new 11.40 beta.
I'm still 11.3.
Actually, this is not new for 11.40.
No, but it's more evident in that.
Yeah, there's an experimental flight model.
Sorry about that, we were the technically challenged simmers again. Or rather, we've waffled so long the battery ran out of the camera.
Yeah.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
We're just wrapping it up.
We're wrapping it up. So we're talking about the sim. So it's just, I know it's and the developer said it's not that hard to between, but it's just, I have my concerns. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it may not end up happening. They've said that they're looking at doing it, but maybe further on the development track, maybe it will be too hard to implement. I don't know. But for now...
Yeah, I think it would be smart for them to be able to do that and get people, even developers, to do minor upgrades to their product so that it works on the sim, and then they do more work and get it to work with the
proper sim engine.
Yeah,
so,
I think that would be smart.
All right, so
I'd rather see higher priority to VR personally, but then that's just my own personal bias.
you just want VR and Tomcat.
Then we'll have VR will come. VR will come.
So final thoughts for you, Mr. Sergio. Did it have helipads?
It didn't have helipads, but
it did have helipads.
Well, look at it this way. The whole world is our
the Burj was there with its helipad.
There. Well,
and it wasn't hard of them. Yes.
The world is a helipad. I can land anywhere with my helicopter, so the world is my helipad.
Okay,
but serious final thoughts. I was blown away. I was, like I said, expecting to be disappointed after this event. I'm exactly the opposite. I'm actually hyped about this sim. I know it won't become with helicopters for the first version. I'm okay with that. I can wait until they do it properly. I loved the hands-on. I simply love the hands-on.
So if you haven't already subscribed, if you want to be positive with this, folks, get onto the Tech Alpha. Get onto the beta program. Go to, we'll put the link in the description down below.
You guys,
get on board.
Yeah. If you guys like flight simulators, you guys gotta be in this.
Yeah.
It would be just stupid, not, even if you don't like Microsoft Flight Simulator, okay, just ignore that shit and just try it. You can't be disappointed afterwards, you can bash it out, but just try it and just take a good look at it.
Take an open mind to it.
See the technology and how far sims have come and how far Microsoft Flight Simulator has come. It's just
they had I love that little intro as we were walking into the venue. They had a little video playing, reminiscing about all the flight sims. Back from the first one, Sublogic days, going through all the ways.
It's amazing.
So you're hyped.
I'm hyped. No, and you guys know me.
He doesn't hype well. He doesn't hype.
You guys know me. I'm hyped. I'm looking forward to give it some more testing. The only thing I'm concerned about is what kind of machine we will need to run it properly.
Which we never did get an answer.
Yeah, but
and
probably rightly so.
Yeah,
we asked, but basically it was they're still working out those things. So again, a lot of it's still up in the air.
But I'm hyped. I'm excited. I'm really excited, and I think Microsoft is really onto something very special here for the flight simulation community. So, guys, just keep an eye on it because this is really mind blowing. Really amazing.
Mr. Drew,
the sim is the sim. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and echo everything that everybody else has said. I think that's a given. Yeah, I was blown away as well. I didn't expect to be. But I think my bigger takeaway was in getting to talk to the developers. I mean, when you've got people kind of sort of hovering over you, listening to what you're saying, taking notes, speaking into, their cell phones to give themselves a memo of things that they need to check out on Monday when they get into work. Mm-hmm. That's the part that impressed me more than anything else. That tells me, okay, not only have you gone all out and flown us all out here, with the expectation that you're going to try and impress us, but when we've managed to pick things apart, you're at least willing to say, okay, we recognize this, let's fix it. Yeah. So honestly, I think the next time that I actually get a chance to see the sim, it's going to be in a much better state based on the feedback that we got. And there was a certain level of gratitude that I felt from every single person that I spoke with. From the lowest person on the totem pole to the CEO themselves, everybody in that room, you could tell they were hanging on our words as much as we were hanging on theirs. That's the kind of stuff that fills me with hope. When you acknowledge, where you went wrong in the past, when you acknowledge we can't do it without the community, and when you back that up and prove it to us by actually listening to what we're saying and actually, having the plans in place to implement and so on. That's the kind of stuff that I look forward to. I had a technical difficulty with my computer. The big monitor that I had some kind of bars, black bars or whatever, like dead pixels.
Yeah.
They changed it out in the middle of the thing.
A computer crashed.
Yeah.
And it didn't recover. And they got me a new computer.
So, and there's a lot of commitment there. So, brilliant.
And that's not even getting into, all the other miscellaneous things we did, because, I've been trying to mention throughout the entire thing, in addition to actually trying out this new Microsoft Flight Sim, they had us fly around the Seattle area. They actually got us in real Cessnas, each of us in our own Cessna with our own private pilot, and we flew around the city. We flew around the area.
Left seat.
Yeah, flew around. This guy, the helicopter guy, was in a Cessna.
I think he terrified his pilot when he tried to do an auto rotation.
Yeah, he tried auto rotation. Yeah.
But I realized why that was done, because they wanted to basically, okay, here's your proof of concept, and now let's compare it to real life. Folks, it pretty much matched up. Everything that I experienced in the cockpit after being in the sim, that basically validated everything they just showed us in the sim.
And even right down the little bumps of updraft and the
all
little
there.
clips of things. So I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, these are okay. I know a lot of people out there, you love flying your tube liners, and we didn't see any tube liners, but they are coming. They are absolutely 100% confirmed. They will be there. But the point is that if you get the physics right with a light aircraft,
everything else is going to be affected,
and a helicopter, then you will get it right for everything.
Yeah, that's the thing. And that's what they're
and again, I know I'm going to digress slightly from MSFS here for a second. Probably get back on my soapbox for a minute, but 737 pilots don't start in a 737.
Right.
They start in a 152, 172. Start in the Baron. They move to a Baron. They move up from there. So, bear that in mind. So, as I said, and this is the thing. You get it right with this level, you will get it right with that level. Yeah. So my sort of thoughts and takeaways, again, pretty much a summary of what my two fine fellow Grumpy Simmers have said. I came in here concerned and not very hyped at all.
Surprised. You might even say we came in here grumpy.
We did.
Yeah.
But then the fact that the community and something that I picked up on very early on was we had a bit of a panel with the team, and one of the heads of the head of the business unit that's running the franchise, he basically turned around and said, "We messed up in the past. We know we did, and we know we have to." And his words were, "We have to earn back the community."
That was very apparent.
when you have a body that knows that it messed up and knows it needs to do better, and then is going out of its way to show you how much it's doing better, and how humble the devs were taking on this franchise. That for me says a lot. So even if you're skeptical, I would ask that each and every one of you keep an open mind about this, because we did, and we were more than pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
It's been worth the trip.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Does it have its issues? Absolutely. It's not even alpha. It's a pre-alpha at the moment.
Yeah, there's still a long road to go, and it is apparent in certain spots.
But the fact that they have answers and solutions for everything that we came up with, you know, I've got a hats off to every single one of the devs. One, for keeping this quiet for 3 bloody years. But just for the sheer amount of work and the sheer amount of commitment that you've all put in so far, and that you're going to. And I hope that we as a community can reciprocate and do right by their efforts to help us, to help them, and for us to help them and be supportive of them in their journey. So I think that's it.
Yeah.
All right, we're whacked, we're tired, we're technically challenged. So thank you very much for joining our live episode of the Three Grumpy Simmons.
No telling when this is going to happen again.
Yeah, no, there's not. We don't know. So we've made the most of it while we can. Yeah. So thank you to my friend. I can actually shake his hand on air. Thank you to Mr. Sergio from Helisimmer.com.
This is history.
It is, isn't it? So don't forget to check out, there will be articles galore about this as well on Helisimmer.com. Don't forget to check that out. And of course, thank you to you, my friend, my purple hat wearing friend.
Yes.
We still need to get some Tomcat time at some point.
And the word is already out. I've told him I want a Tomcat. I don't know when, but I want a Tomcat.
Anyway.
Yeah, so we do this world event, and you know, people ask us for helicopters and Tomcats. Really?
It's just a world tour, isn't it? You two. So don't forget.
I'll be happy to come back here and just fly with Cat. I like Cat. Cat is. Shout out to Cat. Thank you for the flight. You are awesome. Absolutely amazing. No, you were saying?
Yeah.
So don't forget to check out his channel. I've no doubt that the flight he's just talked about will be on it. And thank you very much. So my name's been Nova24. Please don't forget to give a like and subscribe to the video if you enjoyed this video and are looking to see more funny information. There will be some links and things down below the video for some updates and links to other information, and of course the insider site if you do want to sign up.
And some hate comments as well.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, you know, haters gonna hate. But seriously, we tried to hate, but we couldn't. We tried. We really tried, and we couldn't. So there's that. Anyway, so thanks for. Don't forget, as always, to like the video, subscribe to the channel. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Facebook. You can also follow us on Podbean. So there will be an audio-only version of this if you're listening to this on Podbean. You can also come watch us on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube and you want to listen to us again, just without seeing our ugly mugs, then you can listen to us on Podbean. And don't forget to please consider supporting the channel on Patreon. Link is in the description down below. Alright folks, thanks very much from us. Signing off from Renton in Seattle for the Microsoft Flight Simulator Preview event. Thank you very much. Take care, safe skies to all, and we'll see you next time.
Well,
bye for now.